The Scandalous Blue Beam Project, the coming of Antichrist or Great Deception. According to proponents of the original conspiracy theory, a vague causal power is aimed at causing great confusion among the population through some kind of a mass hallucination during which humanity will receive a fake message from God or gods, see a UFO invasion, and or witness the return of the Messiah. Just what is all this for? Although the Blue Beam Project remains a popular conspiracy theory on the internet, a more thorough analysis of its convergence with another work provides much food for thought. Everyone who is interested in the UFO phenomenon must have come across what is called the Blue Beam Project. This name also often appears on the internet on topics related to the mystery of unidentified phenomena in the air. From time to time, the dates of the start of the project appear. For some, this became such a fascinating idea that every UFO sighting, even the most trivial one, was attached to it. It has also tried to be explained in conjunction of events that have nothing to do with the UFO phenomenon. Often you can see it, for example, in combination with HAARP, a real program that tried to justify many different kinds of strange theories. Now, having to do with the Blue Beam Project and what Monas says, the original Blue Beam Project began its life in 1994, although it was difficult to find any information until 1996, when its creator, the Canadian mystic Serge Monas, died. A whole number of conspiracy theories there. However, 1994 is important when it comes to revealing the entire sequence of events. Born in 1945, Monas was a Canadian journalist, poet, and above all, the creator of popular conspiracy theories with an element of Christianity in the background and the Blue Beam Project in the forefront. But that is not all. He also reflected on the New World Order, NWO, and the Freemasons, and today's online conspiratorial folklore seems to draw its full potential without even realizing it. Another element attributed to the Blue Beam Project was the famous release of the Norwegian Spiral, which turns out to be a virtually unsuccessful launch of a projectile. UFO writer and national security writer Richard Dolan had enough rumors about a mythical project that he even wrote a critical article in the light of rumors about recent events. Well, in October 2010, amid the enthusiasm of the American UFO Society, or rather representatives of UFOs, was the belief that on the 13th of this month there would be massive UFO sightings. The only event that attracted attention that day was the UFO report on New York, which turned out to be a balloon. Dolan analyzed Monas' claims in his original work. Firstly, a series of artificially created earthquakes was supposed to be created in several precisely selected places on the planet, which would allow revealing places where one could find evidence of discrediting all religious doctrines. This is the first preparation for the plan for humanity, because what they want to do is tear down, shake the beliefs of all Christians on the planet, and to do this they need a false test, supposedly from the past, and from that remote past they will prove to men and women that their religions are false, Sergei Monas said. Transcription of the recording of the conference in the International Free Press, 1994. The second test for humanity is to be the Great Space Show. More specifically, it was about three-dimensional optic holograms and sound demonstrations, projections of lasers and groups of holograms in different parts of the world. Each projection would be adapted to the religion that dominates in the region. This new voice of God will speak in all languages. These events were to open to humanity the new Christ, or, as the will of the Messiah, become a fabricated version of his second coming. And Sergei Monas' transcript from the International Free Press, 1994, said, "The second step deals with a gigantic space show with three-dimensional optical holograms and sounds, laser projections of multiple holographic images in different parts of the world, each receiving different images according to the predominant national, regional, religious faith, he said. And thirdly, it was assumed that this would lead to communication enhanced by the action of telepathy and electronics, which should be a way of transmitting all falsified messages from God. And Monas again said in 1994, the kind of rays that feed on the computer memory which stores a lot of data about the human being and languages, and we said that people on Earth will be reached from inside their brain, making everyone believe that their own God, quote unquote, is speaking to each one from inside of their own soul, he said. And fourth, according to Monast, there should have been a universal paranormal manifestation by electronic means. These were to be 3 specific scenarios, one of which was to simulate an alien invasion. Everything was intended to replace the current world order with a new one. Create a false alien invasion that would generate tensions between nations, make people believe that the rapture is imminent, to take those who would be a problem for the implementation of the new government, generate through technology paranormal situations, how poltergeists and phantasmagoric appearances in addition to inducing fear, causing various mental problems with waves. The objective? In this way, chaos would be unimaginable, people disappearing during the rapture, quote unquote, while fear is growing of the possibility of a war between nations that would be tense before an imminent extraterrestrial attack, and various supernatural events happening in each corner could make the population itself demand that create a government to end these situations, and that would be the moment in which the New World Order would be established. We must assume several premises to be able to enter to the value of proposals of Monast, among them that there would be a much more developed technology that we could imagine, and that organizations such as NASA would work for this secret elite. What exactly did he say? There's a lot of information about the Blue Beam project, and the debate continues to generate abundant speculation, so much so that the data from the main source would be much smaller in comparison. The main source would be some of his books, titled as, for example, the Blue Beam Project of NASA, Why, and the World Government and the Antichrist, available in French. The author's native language in the transcript of the presentation that he made in 1994, from which we have cited some experts in this article. I'm Canadian as well, so I guess he was from Quebec. Quebec is the French-speaking province of Canada. Now, was Monas right? Is there a secret elite seeking to control the world entirely? Will they end up carrying out such a grim and disturbing plan? Would we fall into deception if it materialized? It's a surprising theory, of course, but it's necessary to know the details so that everyone can draw their own conclusions. Richard Dolan's perspective. Dolan abundantly draws from the writings of the creator of the project, who caused a sensation on the internet, and these quotes show us the emotional state of its author and his vision of events on the world stage. I put such a long quote so that everyone could find out about the state this person was in. It was a very tense state, but he lacked an understanding of science. Nowhere does Monast offer any evidence to justify his theories, not to mention the fantastic abilities that NASA or the UN attribute. All this, it seems, also from the point of view of logistics, too broad a scale. First of all, the scenario associated with a fake alien invasion can be created using the park of the famous black triangular UFOs. But is there so much that they can cover the whole sky? On the other hand, in the case of religious vision, they are frequent identification of unidentified causal forces used in conspiracy theories. Who is capable of flooding the world with holographic images? God, or maybe Jesus, Krishna, or Allah? What about sending messages based on our beliefs and nationality directly to our brains? According to Monast, all this should have forced us to abandon our previous beliefs. Vacuum scenarios? Shortly before the appearance of Sergei Monas with his next theory, a book appeared about the creator of Star Trek series, Gene Roddenberry. It contained information that all fans of the series probably knew well, or rather, the proposed scenario of the mid-1970s. Just remember that the main characters, Captain Kirk and Spock, were Canadian. Now, the author of the book, Joel Engels, writes in it, in May 1975, Roddenberry accepted Paramount's offer to transfer Star Trek to the screen. His version spoke of a flying saucer that circled the Earth and was programmed to send visions of people who looked like prophets, including Jesus. Soon after, Monas adapted the concept to his needs. In this case, images of saints should be displayed on the satellite, and thanks to computer animation and sounds coming from everywhere, followers of different religions will witness the return of their messiahs during a convincing presentation. Then the plan of Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Krishna will unite. It's difficult to say how much about the world religions Monas knew, and whether he knew about the ban on the gods and prophets' images, such as in Islam, or in the complexity of Hinduism, or even among the Hebrews. What about atheists? In addition, the script is similar to the version of the Fatima event proposed by many scholars, which is also sometimes interpreted in this way. So far, we have met with two claims of Monas regarding the blue beam, and thus fabricated the scenarios of the invasion of aliens and prophets, both of which were based on the scenarios of Star Trek. And how did people get those photos? Of course, telepathically. Monas wrote in 1994, technological progress will lead to the activation of the third part of the Blue Beam project, where, using telepathy and electronics, there will be a message addressed to each person that will effectively convince him that he is talking with God. Roddenberry wrote of something similar in 1976. On the planet, people will receive mental images of the return of God. But this is only part of the project. There's also a scenario of a mass UFO invasion. It was worth noting that Monas took this concept based on the Roddenberry script for Earth. Final conflict. Blue Beam's father writes, first, a space show will appear. These holographic images will be used to represent this vision of the end of the world in the form that the followers of this religion represent. One of the goals will also be to make mankind believe in the invasion of aliens in large agglomerations, which will make the nuclear powers want to counterattack. Monas claimed that the goal of all these planned steps was to introduce the new Messiah of Maitreya and start a new world religion that would lead to a new world order. And by the way, everyone would be left alone, even the most educated. In his fictional vision, Roddenberry saw this in a more complex way. The object itself was not just a ship, it was a complex creature that lived on its own. Soon, however, it was discovered that the manifesting God is basically a pixel, the remnant of a race that has been ejected from our dimension. Was the concept of the Blue Beam project based on the work of Roddenberry? In both cases, we're dealing with programs hosted on flying platforms that create electronic visions related to the beliefs of Earthlings. The only difference is that when the creator of Star Trek discovered that their source was a faulty foreign vehicle system, Monas sees it as a real source from the American Space Agency, NASA. Monas said, computers will coordinate the satellites and the software will take care of every show. Roddenberry saw this from the perspective of much more advanced civilization. The creature, which was supposed to deceive the Earthlings, acted, quote, with a force of 1,000 times greater than that which the intergalactic civilization sees. It could be God, it could be Satan, end quote. Some themes from Roddenberry's script were used in other parts of the Star Trek series. The 1991 Devil's Due episode echoes the younger design for the Blue Beam project, which is 3 years younger. In short, USS Enterprise D responds to an alarm from the Ventax 2 science station, where chaos emerged as a result of the appearance of a creature called the Devil. Interestingly, there are other topics mentioned here, and we'll find other aliens imitating deities in Star Trek V. In 1994, when the concept of Blue Beam Project was born, many publications appeared on the rejected Roddenberry script. There are so many similarities not to recognize them. Strong awakening. Given that intelligence agencies use similar theories to spread information, it can be assumed, for example, that the Blue Beam Project could be another such project sold to Monast as well as other people. Doubtful in the light of its coincidence with Roddenberry's concepts, the fact remains that the Canadian was the author of the assumptions of the project, perhaps with the exception of some points related to religion. Is Richard Dolan right in saying that the Blue Beam Project is not supported by any evidence? Does it make much sense? Are they proponents of a conspiracy theory in cyberspace? Maybe yes, but we just state the facts here. Our limited human perception is not allowing us to see behind the veil. Thus, we do not have the right to criticize any opinion. And be vigilant, be healthy, be good, and forgive. And this is on Solask. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. So it looks like Monast took his ideas from the 1970s Star Trek scripts. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.